I'm John Hendrick, Senior Technical Writer for Wallaroo. Today we'll be getting into the flow, specifically the MLFlow, the machine learning flow. MLFlow is a standard that allows data scientists and MLOps engineers to exchange models that can work in different environments. Wallaroo supports containerized MLFlow models stored in both a public and private registry. This video demonstrates how to register containerized MLFlow models in Wallaroo and use them to perform an inference. This tutorial can be found on the GitHub Wallaroo Tutorials repository and the Wallaroo documentation site at docs.wallaroo.ai. What this tutorial will do is this. 1. Connect to a Wallaroo instance. This can be done from within the Jupyter Hub service that's part of every COTS-based install of Wallaroo, or externally through a connection with the Wallaroo SDK. 2. Create our workspace and pipeline where the MLFlow models will operate in. 3. Register our containerized MLFlow models. There's two. One is based on a stats model implementation, and the other is a post-processing module. 4. Deploy the pipeline. This allocates the resources that the pipeline needs in order to perform inferences upon request. 5. Perform a sample inference and display the result. And 6. Undeploy the pipeline and return the resources back to the cluster. That last step isn't necessary, it's just an example for the tutorial. So with that, let's get started. We're using an environment based on the 2022.04 release of Wallaroo. If you're planning on using a private containerized model registry for your MLFlow models, there's a process for authenticating to that private registry that's available on the Wallaroo documentation site. Both of the models used in today's demonstration are in a public GitHub registry. First thing we're doing is establishing our connection. We're already inside of our Wallaroo instance, so we can connect directly. Now we'll create a workspace and pipeline. For those using Wallaroo for the first time, the workspace is the environment that you interact in. When you make a new pipeline or upload a model, it's to the workspace that's been set as the current workspace, which is the workspace we just created, stats model workspace. For containerized MLFlow models, there's a couple of things we need. The input schema, what the model expects to see from the data, and the data types for that. An output schema. In our case, that's pretty simple, since the input schema for our post-processing module is what we'll be using for our output, the URLs for our models. If you're familiar with model registries, you'll know the format is URL and port, followed by the repo and the tag. In our case, we're using a GitHub registry, and our models are MLFlow stats model example and MLFlow post-process example with the tag 2022.4. We'll set our input schemas, then register our containerized models with Wallaroo. Note, we're not uploading them. Because they're in a registry service, we're showing Wallaroo the address to use at ghcr.io, a repository managed by GitHub. We'll give it the address, provide a name for the models, and in the configuration include our input and output schemas. Once the models are registered, we'll add them as steps in our pipeline. So the pipeline will accept the inference information, feed it to the stats model first, then take that output, feed it to the post-process model, then export the results to an inference results object. Looks like we're set. Time to deploy. This usually takes about 30 seconds or so, depending on your cluster. At this time, the Wallaroo instance is allocating resources to the pipeline, so we can perform inferences whenever an inference request is submitted to it. Speaking of inference requests, looks like it's ready. We'll do a status check and verify both of our models are in it, then run an inference from a sample file. And there we go. From our containerized models to our result. We can do a quick assertion to verify that the results match what we expect from the sample. It does. We can even change the assertion to make sure that it fails and then show that it succeeds again. Now we'll undeploy the pipeline and return those resources back to the cluster. And that's the process. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, as no one I know in real life has ever said. But if you have containerized MLFlow models in a public or private registry, you can deploy them in a Wallaroo instance and get them working. If you want to try this tutorial for yourself, you can request a demonstration by going to wallaroo.ai and selecting the requested demo page. You can also get a free copy of Wallaroo Community and try it out in your own cloud Kubernetes cluster by going to the portal.wallaroo.community and registering for a license. This tutorial is stored on our Wallaroo Tutorials GitHub repository, and you can find a copy of all of them at docs.wallaroo.ai. I'm John Hendrick, Senior Technical Writer for Wallaroo. Thank you for watching, and welcome to Wallaroo.